Hello and welcome to Ion Radio. I'm Ken, and I'm going to give you a quick channel update here on what's going on here at Ion Radio. We've had a lot of questions about what's been going on, what we're doing for AdeptiCon, etc. So let's jump right into it. Star Wars Armada just recently, a month ago, got an update to rules, cards, errata, etc. As we're already pretty much done with round one of Madness 2025. That's going to continue to be played to the old version, so version 1.5 and previous errata steps. And all the new things, version 1.6, the updated errata, all of that will start getting put into the rest of Season 8 for Star Wars Armada. We intend on finishing Madness 2025 sometime after AdeptiCon. We're about ready to actually shut down filming for the prep for AdeptiCon, and then it'll take another few weeks, about 8 weeks, that we're not going to be doing any filming, again because of AdeptiCon. Once we get back, we'll get the studio set up, finish up Madness 2025, and then jump right into Armada Season 8. Speaking of AdeptiCon, if you've been paying attention either on our Discord or on the community page, we've got a badge to give away. And we're also looking for volunteers to help us out with the live streams for Worlds. So let's touch on each one of those. First of all, if you are interested in getting a free badge to AdeptiCon, in the comments below, tell me what you are most interested in seeing or experiencing at AdeptiCon, and then use hashtag AdeptiCon in your comment. You must be a subscriber to get that free badge. Ion Radio is also looking for volunteers to help out as table runners. So what we're looking for is a handful of volunteers that can be by table side and relay information to us. We've got a number of different ways you can do that. So if you're interested, please leave something in the comments below or reach out to me directly via Discord. We've got a limited number of slots that we can do this with. So again, please reach out. Once AdeptiCon is over and we have the studio back in, we're going to be filming, like I said, the rest of Armada, and then we're going to move on to two other items that we're also watching and paying attention to. First is Star Trek Into the Unknown. We will be doing more Star Trek Into the Unknown. We've got at least 3 or 4 different missions that we intend on doing to complete our first campaign. Once the first expansion comes out, that will get included in to our filming production set, and then that'll get thrown in as well. I will also be starting up Alliance Season 2, which covers the Klingon entry into the Dominion War for Star Trek Attack Wing. That's going to start getting filmed probably sometime in April or May. Again, a lot of this is just dependent on how much time we have to spend dealing with getting ready and setting up for AdeptiCon. Which brings us to what kind of the rest of 2025 looks like. We know that we've been a little light on battle reports over the last 2 months. Part of that's just waiting for the Armada update. Some of that is changes in my job and John's. And now we're looking forward to what we have moving through the rest of 2025. On one hand, we have been doing a lot of filming over the last few months, so we've got kind of a backlog of videos ready to be released, starting with Madness 2025. So starting in March, we're going to have 2 weeks. First 2 weeks of March are going to include a few battle reports or some informational stuff on Star Trek Into the Unknown. We're going to take a week off, jump into AdeptiCon with 3 days of live streams. And once that's done, we're going to take a week off to recoup and then start releasing more videos. Star Wars Armada will have at least one release every 2 weeks. And if things go to plan, we will have a weekly release for the rest of 2025. We'll be throwing in Star Trek Into the Unknown, Star Trek Alliance, the Extra Madness series, and if they're released, some BattleTech Aces videos, which will include the 4 campaign missions or box sets that are due to come out. Probably do a little bit of BattleTech, Alpha Strike, and Classic as we can through the second half of 2025. So that's kind of the quick state of Ion Radio, how things currently look, what we're looking forward to in the rest of 2025. Again, we're going to be spending a lot of time at AdeptiCon, so if you see us, please feel free to stop by, say hello, although please wait until we're done with the live stream. There's enough time between the rounds where you could stop by, talk to me, John, Garrett, and Ryan. Future Ken here. As I've kind of started already talking about Admiral Tater, literally that afternoon when I did the recording from the live stream, I got a box from Admiral Tater with a bunch of goodies in there, a whole bunch of new rulers that I had asked for that I'm going to show you. And he also sent a set of obstacles that I'm curious to get a opportunity out onto the table. Let's take a slightly closer look right now. All right, guys, so as I was mentioning before, we've got some new Admiral Tater gear, and with me right now is Garrett Vance, Admiral Tater, because who better to talk about his gear than the Admiral himself? Garrett, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks, Ken, for having me on. What's up, guys? Super excited. Worlds is coming up, and I am launching a long-awaited Tater product that people have requested, and I've been resilient on making just because I was trying to find a way that I was happy with him, and that's obstacles. So I've sent a few out into the wild and tested some. So Ken has a set, and I've just like been sending into a couple tournaments here and there just to see what people's feedback I get. So far, it's all good. But the good parts, they're fluorescent, and then they have a little engraved image. But I'm not trying to make them too complicated. I want to try and keep them in like the $30 range for all of them. And that's like two Purgles, 2 Exegorths, 2 stations, 3 asteroids, 2 dust fields, 2 debris fields, which is a lot of acrylic. But the big thing is, and these are terribly difficult to take pictures of. I'm going to try and share this. So this image does not have 2 stations. I know people were like, we got to have 2 stations. I was like, for that one time you use 2 stations, like in the entire career. So in this image here, there's so much light shining off, but in person, when you're playing, they just look aesthetically better. But here's the big thing. They're thin. They're really thin. Sometimes half as thin as the cardboard, depending on the acrylic stock I get in. And what this means is when you're playing, the ships, when they land on them, don't spin as bad. And that's huge, especially when you put your finger down to measure arcs and stuff. The ship doesn't lift up crazy high when you're trying to play. And that was my most important accomplishment that I wanted to make happen. And then Machi over on the Armada Hub Discord was like, we got to have holes in the center of our irregular shaped obstacles so that I don't have to spin and measure from the edge of the obstacle. I can measure from the hole. And so I went ahead and did that. And people are going to be like, these are really weirdly placed holes. And it is, but they're in the center. If you take a compass and circle the smallest circle around the obstacle as possible, so that when you spin it, it stays in the center. So, and in Armada, you're allowed to rotate the obstacle and move it like distance 1 to 2 for like infested fields, for example. So that's what I did. And so after some trial and error and a lot of throwing away obstacles, after I cut them, of them not being perfect, as perfect as I could get them. I don't know how many variances there are out in the world of shapes of obstacles. I had a couple core sets, so I did my best to find what I found to be the perfect fit, with scanning and tracing and images, and then I cut it out and I hold it up and make sure it matches or whatever. The other big part is, so not only the easy to move because you measure from the hole in the center, and I'm going to make the holes a little bit different, a little bit bigger on the final ones. The ones I sent out have small pinpoint holes, so they need to be bigger just to be able to see. But the other thing is they're straight, so because they're laser cut, so they're straight on the edge. And you don't think about that much, but when you're playing Armada, a lot of the obstacles from the cardboard, because when the die cuts them, it makes them rounded on the edges. And so if you land a ship like kind of on the edge of an obstacle, it slides off. Mm-hmm. And not only does your ship slide off, but the ship slides off and then the obstacle moves. Yep. Because it's, the force is pushing against each other, right? So Yeah, and then obviously the reversible. I did put words on them to make them easy to tell to newer players. But if you flip them upside down, right, it'll say asteroid backwards, right? So there's space station. On the other side, it says, space station backwards. But I was like, I have full faith and confidence in everyone's ability to read them backwards. So yeah, they're nothing crazy complicated, but I'm all about making things to make the game easier to play. And I like to pretend they're little holographic images that come up on your status board while you're playing. Like asteroids are red, right? Because they're really dangerous. And then the station's green because it's really safe. And people like Xantos Damon, he was like, I want them all in purple. So I'll probably obviously entertain that. I'm limited by a lot of the thinness of acrylic that I can get in that would be appropriate. So I will make accommodations to where I can. Some people want different colors for different obstacles, which I'm totally fine with. So I'll make that happen. But really excited about that. It's crazy how popular Armada popped up again after the update came out. It really took me by surprise. Because I was working on a bunch of Star Trek Into the Unknown stuff, and that game's been having a rough rocky, not I want to say rough or rocky. It's been a slow start, I'll say.
It has, but WizKids just put out the
Yes.
latest expansion information, which includes 2 Klingon ships and the Miranda on the Federation side with another Defiant class. So I suspect, Garrett, that game's going to pick up a little bit also.
That's what I was waiting for. Klingons. I was always skeptical of starting with the Dominion ships, the Jem'Hadar, but like Klingon ships, that sells. That sells squadron. That sells packs. It's like putting ISDs in packages, right? So I'm really excited about that. So I'll swing back to that after Armada cools off some here. But it's been really exciting. So I'm excited to get these obstacles out. I've been obsessing over making sure they're right before I list them. Trying to get as much feedback back from people as I could. The biggest thing is just colors, but I'm kind of limited on colors. So, but in person, they look very good.
I can vouch for that, folks. Having them in front of me here, putting out on the mat. You will see some of these in the Extra Madness series when I start filming up the next series of matches, so you'll get to see them there. And I'll have a set with me at AdeptiCon, so if you want to see them in person, come take a look.
The other thing I want to talk about, people have been asking if I was going to do like special edition Armada gear for like the 10th anniversary of Armada. I think I might. When I hear that, I'm always like, but you can always get special edition Armada gear all the time from me. But I totally understand it. Some people aren't as, they don't know what they want until they see it, which I totally understand. So, because right now you can get like Pearl edition sets from me. And if you really want Pearl stuff, right, obviously get the Ion Radio rulers because it's the cheapest way to get Pearl from me, and they look really, really, really good.
I was actually just playing against one of the guys locally that's got one of the Pearl Ion Radio sets, and they do look nice.
Yeah, it's the most cost-effective way, because if not, I'll make you a set, and especially a template tray, but they can run upwards of $200. But that's why I have ranges, right? You can spend $12 and get a set of rulers at my shop, or you can spend $200 and get the finest I can possibly craft in the time allotted. And this is the green nebula. Green nebula pearl. Yeah, with white paint. Yeah, that's like, I think, is the ultimate set. And they look really cool. And they got the hello there ruler for close range, which is my favorite. Yeah, I love that. So yes, $40 painted. And I think if you want to paint them themselves, they're like $30, which is a great buy for Pearl. Other than that, I have everything for Armada that you can really imagine outside of like actual ships, which I think is always really funny. I originally named my shop Admiral Tater Ship Shop, right? but never sold any ships. I never had any intention. It just rolled off the tongue and it sounded cool. Ship shop. So I've been trying to like rebrand for years. It's just Admiral Tater. But I still think it's funny. But anyways, I got, fancy speed dials, fancy command dial inserts, and then token trays, all the way from small compact ones to the big Tater tourney trays, right? That fit all the cards and tokens and stuff at once and stack. So basically anything for any budget. I try to like have levels, right? But yes. But yeah, thanks, Ken. And obviously the Ion Radio collection of stuff is obviously all there, which is another way to get Pearl speed dials. I do a set of like 6 or 5 Ion Radio Pearl speed dials, really cheap, as well. And then of course their defense token trays, which are really popular. I sell a lot of those packages, like the fleet packages that hold like 4, 3, and 6 tokens. And then
I've started to see those crop up.
Yeah,
those are really cool.
Yeah, Ken doesn't like these as much, but I also have the ones that have the speed dial built in, because they're harder to use on screen. But in person, they're really neat because it holds your speed dial and your tokens.
So Garrett, we don't use those for filming because it doesn't work well for that, but I actually do use them when I'm out at the store playing.
Yeah, they're super useful for that. Trying to find when did I send you those pictures? 2023, probably.
Oh, it's been a while, Garrett.
Time slips away.
What I really like about the trays with the speed dials is if you don't want to use them as a speed dial, you can also use it as a numerical thing, like this ship 1, 2, 3, 4. But because they're magnetic, you can keep all of your tokens in there, snap them together, and carry them around without your tokens falling all over the place, which is really cool.
Yeah. So here they are. With the speed dials at the top, and then it's just really simple. And then of course Ion Radio trays to keep your rulers in, and this has got a black pearl set with hello there rulers. And so the Ion Radio trays are also, I like discount them a little bit too to make them cheaper compared to regular trays, both because it's just the Ion Radio design, so it's a lot easier to assembly line make them. And then they come with insert tokens. As you can see in the top left there, the insert tokens matching for the maneuver tools.
And make sure you glue them in. Don't just put them in there. They fall out. You have to glue them in.
I put little instructions to tell people. As we know with FFG, no, I guess AMG or whatever, their tolerances in plastic molding is hard to plan for. So I make them, you don't want things to be too big because then it doesn't work at all. Mm-hmm. So I always kind of undersize some stuff to make sure it fits. That way you can, still use them. But yeah, so, just tons of stuff. Worlds is coming up. We got like, a month out, a little less than a month. So if you want something, definitely get your order in and we can get that done. And then as always, if you're ordering, use the Ion Radio 15 code, and then you get 15% off of orders of $50 or more, which is a big discount, especially if you're buying a template tray and like a couple sets of tokens, right? Now we're talking like $30, $40 in discounts if you're spending a couple $100. Because you can get really fancy stuff like these Pearl Edition stuff. I just finished this up for a guy in Connecticut. Like this theme tray right here. So
Sabine.
Yeah, they can get really fancy. I try to accommodate most designs I can, but this is about as complicated as I'm willing to go. As it takes time to do multiple of those with different colors and stuff. So, but yeah, thanks, Ken. Appreciate you letting me jabber on here.
Oh, Garrett, thank you very much. You've been a longtime supporter of the channel. We appreciate it. And of course, we use your stuff all the time. And of course, Garrett, you will be joining me once again for the 2025 World Championship.
Yeah, we're going to be there all day, every day, you and I. I was going to say one last thing, in case people didn't know, when you buy Ion Radio stuff from my shop or use the Ion Radio coupon code, that goes to support the Ion Radio channel.
And we do appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's another reason to use the codes and then the just Ion Radio products in general. And if you spend less than $50, there's an Ion Radio 10 code that gets you 10% off. So use it whether you're using $50 or more, $10 or less. So yes. Excellent.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right, Garrett, thanks a lot. We're going to get back to the rest of the Ion Radio update. So everyone, stay tuned. And Garrett, thanks again.
All right, that's the end of my quick update. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Ken, and you're watching Ion Radio.